Great to be here. So I'm Andreas, and I'm founder of Otovo. It's a marketplace for solar and battery installations, in which about 700 installer companies across Europe are competing for work and providing their services to homeowners across Europe. So I come from Norway. It's a country that's well suited for hiking and for hydropower, but not particularly for solar energy. It's a place where the weather is often overcast, the electricity prices are famously low, and our labor is famously expensive. So it's a hard place to make solar work. Now, luckily for us and everyone else in the solar industry, we have a fantastic tailwind in the learning curve of solar modules, and the equipment that is used in solar is getting cheaper by about 10% every year, and that means that solar can win in more and more applications, more and more geographies. But that's only the labor. That's only the hardware. On top of that hardware curve, there's a labor curve, and what I'm going to say now is that in the 90s, the problem for getting solar costs down was a problem for scientists. It was making a good enough panel. In the 2000s, it's been a problem for manufacturing, making that good panel cheap enough at scale to keep pushing the cost downwards. And now it's turning into a last mile problem, because this labor cost that was almost negligible when the modules were expensive, the inverters were expensive, the batteries were expensive 5 or 10 years ago, now represents more than half the cost in a lot of countries across Europe. And so if you want to be good on installing solar, you need to be good at the last mile cost. The cost of bringing an excellent panel that is cheap from the docks in Rotterdam to where it can be useful. Now, those curves don't look like that in real life, because things happen. And last year, I think all our meters broke across Europe as we experienced an energy crisis that made electricity prices go up, demand for solar go up, and it completely unhinged the solar market. We're a marketplace, and so we see installer companies across Europe competing for work every single day. They adjust the prices of their equipment, of their travel costs, of their scaffolding, of their work, and that changes the winning prices on the platform that the consumers can achieve. And on this graph, you can see the development of the cost of installing a solar watt on a household in Sweden for the last 3 years. And you can see it's a nice falling trend line up until the energy crisis of last year, and then the prices shoot up. They've been coming down since. But let's now decompose this into the hardware part and the labor part. The hardware cost coming down, peaked in late 2022, and then is back to its downward path. In real terms, panels have never been cheaper than they are now. Inverters have never been cheaper than they are now. Batteries have never been cheaper than they are now. Incredible reversal and incredible responsiveness in the supply chain that makes the hardware come down in price. Now, what's happening on the labor side? Labor also on a nice falling curve until we were out of hands in Europe in the beginning of 2022. That created a myth that we would run out of people to install solar panels. It's a myth that is often repeated here in Berlin and Germany, but I think it's wrong. And I think it's the proof that it's wrong you can see in what has happened since December. If there was still a shortage of labor in the solar industry, prices wouldn't be coming down on that labor. But it is. It's been coming down by double-digit percentage points, and I believe it will keep coming down in the months and quarters ahead. And I think this is where the battle is going to be at in residential solar. My view is that if you want to address labor cost, the way to do it is not to keep acquiring and consolidating blue-collar work companies to aggregate more work and try to take it down. It's to avoid work altogether. And I think chances are that if you're acquiring installers in 2022, you'll never see your money back. It's going to be hard to make your money back if you acquired companies at that peak. No, the way to address labor is to avoid working at all. And that's a digital problem. Our company is founded on the basis that the major cost in solar is the wastage that comes from round trips to do sales that never happen, of getting the wrong number of panels as you go to the workplace, and in the wrong installer starting from the wrong place with the wrong cost doing the work. It's an optimization problem that sounds a lot like other problems that have been solved by digital platforms, like ride-hailing or food delivery. And in that sense, Norway is a great place to start, because it's a society in which probably as the first country, labor made up more of the cost than hardware. And it became a laboratory for us to test how to sell solar systems online and have local electricians, local roofers, local solar installers compete for the work on the platform. And that has allowed us to start a company that is now putting solar panels up every day in 13 countries across Europe, with consumers who go onto our Otovo pages in Norway, Sweden, France, Italy, Germany, or the UK, get a quote for their system provided by local installers who have put out their prices for work and labor, and having the software do the hard work of figuring out how big systems they need, how much money they ought to save from this, and also providing the financing for them if so they desire, in order to take away all the hurdles of going solar. And we believe that we can keep expanding our position across Europe in years to come. Thank you very much.